And we are live. We are definitely live.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, everybody. We're going to be talking tonight. Thanks for joining us. And we'll say hello to everybody in a minute. But we're going to be talking tonight about healing. And in particular, about how to heal yourself. And we'll be showing you all sorts of ideas and all sorts of techniques. So bear with us. And, we'll be talking about that. But have some questions. Any thoughts you have about healing? Ways that you might use for self-healing? Any thoughts you might have about that? We'll be introducing in the program. Then we'll have a second half tonight later on as well, where we're going to be talking again to Domenico. Sorry we went a bit wrong last week.
You pressed the wrong button.
The wrong button.
He's
It was entirely Jane's fault, actually.
His fault.
So we're going to talk about healing, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So if you joined us when we stopped going live, we'll just be saying hello to everybody, but still put your comments anyway.
Yeah, here we go. TJ, hello, good people. Hello, TJ. Tiger Lily, hello, you two wonderful people. Elaine from Wales.
Yeah, we got lots. Always we get the similar faces. Any newbies? Nana Rosebud, hi from Totten.
Hi, yeah. Nana.
Fashion.
Tim, hi, Timothy.
Hi from Kent.
Yeah, we're doing well. I love Kent.
From frozen Texas, of course it is. Yeah, they've had absolutely terrible weather there. Absolutely minus 20 or something crazy. Completely frozen over.
Agility Bits, hello from Cornwall. Hello, Agility Bits. Jen Rolfe. Hi, Jen.
Patricia Schultz, I could almost guess these, couldn't we? We could almost guess these. Hi, Patricia. Nice to see you again. Nice that you're all regulars like this. Wareham, Dorset, like your shirt, Craig. Oh, you noticed it. Shall I show you?
Yeah. Ooh,
quite nice.
His aura is so bright.
I had to buy that from America because that's the only place I can get the sort of subtle styles that I like and the sophistication that I like.
Yeah, you want to see his underpants or worse?
You're sparkling, Jane.
Oh, thank you.
Look at that. Yeah. Let's put some lights on that one, shall we?
Yeah.
Hi from Olympia, Washington. TJ. Karina. Good evening from Finland.
Good evening, Karina.
Yeah, we went to Finland, didn't we? Loved it. A lovely place that was. Hi, Jane. Hi, Craig. From Linda. We're watching here from Michigan in the USA.
Yeah. Hi, Linda. And
Deborah Rossman, an old bus lady.
Miss Dawes.
Yeah.
Oh,
hello,
lovely,
guys.
Anne.
Miss Dawes, you look amazing.
Thank you. And you do too.
Yes, thank you. I think I do look quite... Oh, Miss Dawes. Okay.
Miss Dawes, out the doors.
Evening, Craig and Jane from Jane and Oxley. Hi from Florida, from Trudy, the astrologer. Good, we got some astrologers online. We always like to have the astrologers join us.
Jamie,
so have interesting
baby,
contributions.
Caddo. Hello from London.
Looks like you're having a takeaway tonight. Alison Welsh, good evening from Old Shaftesbury Town, Dorset. Hello from Florida.
DB.
Fleming, hello from Denmark. You have to excuse me tonight. I've got a bit of acid reflux.
Katie.
So I can't talk so much.
Hi, Katie. That's a blessing.
She puts stuff in my food. That's what it is.
Definitely.
Definitely. Shut me up.
Yep.
Ava Hackleton. Hi, Craig and Jane.
Josie. Hi, Jane and Craig. Josie in Preston, Lancashire.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, folks. Of course, we get you coming in from all over the world. There we go. In Delhi, India, from Chandni.
Yep.
Namaste to you. Anil from Maidenhead.
Linda, good evening, Craig and Jane from Cyprus.
Hi
good
there.
Evening, Linda.
Cyprus, that'd be a nice place to be now, I should think. Probably the best weather
Laura.
around.
Hi, Laura.
And if you're just joining us, we're going to be talking about healing, how to heal yourself. So glad you can make it. Glasgow here. Aha. Lobi Dosser. Hi from Warrington. Love to be here as always.
The meditation chamber.
Yes, we were talking about that before. And a strange name to call your baby.
Franco, hello from Romford, London.
And we're going to be talking about healing, all types of healing.
Laura,
so if you have any questions, remember to have them prepared.
Hello from Huntington Beach,
California. So as you can see, you can join us from both Facebook and from YouTube. So
Ibis,
follow both our channels.
love you two wonderful people, Virginia, USA.
And if you're just joining us first time, you're not on
Kay,
live, remember
hello
to follow
from,
this channel.
sorry.
Then you can go live next time with us.
Hello, Craig.
Hello from Missouri. Hi, Kay Kristen.
West Yorks, PG Brexit.
That's an interesting name.
Neil.
Hi from Melbourne.
Hi,
Oh, here
Neil.
we go. Neil from Melbourne. These are the people, the real
Not from
massive.
Mooney Ponds, then.
No, these are the real massacres. They get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch us, which is nice of you.
Megan, so excited to see you both. Hi, Megan.
Tyne Weir, Caroline. Yeah. So if you're just joining us, we're going to be talking about healing tonight, and in particular, how to heal oneself. Those sort of ideas.
Eugenia, is that how you say it? Hello
Eugenia?
from Portugal.
Yeah.
Emil from Vancouver.
Nice to see you from all over. Please touch on sound healing as well as colour therapy. Okay, I never thought about that one, actually. I have got a few thoughts on that type of thing. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, so thanks. That's already a good suggestion, because anything that you want to add about this, or any ideas you've got, or anything about healing. I mean, obviously, we're mediums, aren't we? We not necessarily do healing all the time.
Well, I have done healing.
But healing becomes part of the medium's energy, really. You know, I mean, if you have the mediumistic power, you usually have healing that goes with it, don't you?
Well, you've got compassion, you've got love, so you're reaching out to people. But healing yourself, I think that's important. I feel a lot of people need healing themselves.
Yeah.
One has to heal oneself, is like let go of the past and move forward. Lots of people do healing with their hands going across the mind, bringing it down to the heart chakra, to the solar plexus, and down to the feet, and then reverse it. I always find healing's best when you're in a nice quiet space. Some people can listen to music, others can't, but it's just having time for yourself.
Yeah, I think with healing, you can, obviously on lots of different levels, obviously, you know, psychological, spiritual, physical, in fact, so much of what we do, even as mediums, is actually a form of healing. But, you know, okay, you can go and see healers and so forth, but we're talking tonight particularly about healing yourself, aren't we?
Yes.
So I was feeling a bit rough today. I'd had the vaccine, so I had a little bit of the after effects, but it's perfectly all right. So the best thing to do, first thing I always think with self-healing, the best thing you can do to heal yourself is rest. Because that's one of the things most people don't think about, isn't it? Well, rest and relaxation.
Well, it's to switch. It's very hard when you're in the material world. You need to switch off and you need to concentrate. And I think just have your time in your zone.
Yeah, so you need to, because the world, a lot of illness, I think, is associated with all the pressures and strains that are put on us from outside. And we take it all in on ourselves, and we never give ourselves any really, really deep peace, do we? We very, very rarely have any really, really deep healing time. I mean, one of the techniques that you can look up, because I've done other videos about this, one of the techniques you can use to get into a very, very deep state of relaxation is a thing called yoga nidra. Okay. This is an idea of moving the thoughts around the body. So focusing all your attention on your fingers, then your hands, then your arms, then the trunk of the body, then the legs, and basically there's a way of going through it. But if you place the attention, which is called nyasa. You place the attention. It's called a nyasa, a placing the attention. And you actually move the attention around the body, not focusing to say, you know, relax or anything, just attention. So when we move the attention, we can get into a super state of relaxation. And that's one of the most powerful, in my opinion, one of the most powerful healing things on the planet, that technique. Because not only does your body go into a deep state of relaxation, but if you seed the body with positive thoughts when you do this, or even with a mantra placed onto the parts of the body that might be ill, it draws the healing energy into the body. So I'll do some of that stuff on the patrons. I'm going to do a video with you on Patreon later on.
And also, I feel crystal healing too, because some people like working with crystals, and for example, a rose quartz crystal going over the body, or healing really works that you're closing your mind and let the healer put their hands wherever they're meant to go to take pain away. You can't promise to cure anybody. You can't promise to make, for example, anyone with cancer that you can make it go away, but you can eliminate the pain.
Yeah. And when it comes to the idea of self-healing, you don't necessarily have to have a healer with you. Obviously, a healer can also project their energy, what we call absent healing, where you visualize. So you want to send healing to someone you know, for example, you will visualize that person and imagine them in a lovely setting, particularly if a group of you are sending that healing to that person. And healing can be projected over any distance. It's not dependent upon time and space. So you can project healing thoughts. But if you're going to do it for yourself, the healing energy is all around us everywhere. There's this idea that they call prana in India, but prana takes lots of different forms. And without going into all the details of it, think of it in two forms, really. There's the prana that's the life force of the body, and there's this universal prana that's everywhere. So we can draw that prana into ourselves, because that's what a healer does. A healer pulls the prana into themselves, often imagining, most of people imagine there's a light pouring down through you and through your hands and fingers and things. But that's what they're doing. They're drawing upon that universal prana healing energy. Prana kind of means lifetrons, life force, don't you think? And you can draw that in on yourself.
Well, everybody works on different vibrations, don't they, with healing? I mean, you can work healing with animals, for example. But if you're working healing, perhaps if somebody's had trauma in their childhood or life and they've had to block things out, then they need to let go and and take it really karmically. Perhaps one had to go through troubled times to have compassion and to reach out to others with love.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. Another quick fix, actually, for self-healing is fasting. Actually, not too extreme. No. If you're on any particularly serious, and obviously one with all these things, get advice from your doctor about these things. But it's been found that, for example, a 3-day fast, which is quite tough to do. Actually, I've done it quite a few times, but it's still pretty hard going even now. But if you do a 3-day fast and you follow all the proper instructions about drinking plenty of water and the rest of it. But if you do a 3-day fast, the body goes into a sort of repair mode. And they've even found that they used to think that neurons in the brain would never grow again. But apparently they reckon now that even on a fasting period, even the brain cells regenerate.
Every 7 years, I believe.
I'm not sure quite, yeah. But they used to think the neurons never replace themselves. But when you fast, it kind of tricks the body into a new way of responding. I mean, people, for example, who were starved in the Japanese prisoner of war camps and things, they actually had much less incidence of illnesses later in their life because their bodies became super resilient, and there's some very interesting studies done on people doing fasting.
Now, Timothy's asking, what's the difference between spiritual healing and Reiki healing? Reiki healing, you're working on symbols. It started off in Japan, and they start on all different symbols. And spiritual healing is where a healer is spiritually linking into a higher power, the guides, spirit guides, and working with them. You might have, for example, a spirit doctor on the other side that's helping you with a client on the earth plane. There's very much quite a lot of difference, isn't there, with Reiki?
I think so. I prefer pure healing, really. I know some people need Reiki as a means of giving them something that they can kind of work with, because when you just say stand over that person and send healing, it's kind of hard for a lot of people. So I think Reiki is a good stepping stone to healing myself. I don't really agree with this idea of you can become a master and all the certificates. I mean, I disagree with that also when it comes to mediums within spiritualism, because I've seen, for example, mediums who have this certificate and that certificate, and they're bloody useless when it comes to giving any proof of spirit. Anyway, so the certificates don't make any difference. It comes from the person, But I think pure healing, I think the National Federation of Spiritual Healers is probably one of the best places to look if you're interested in learning about pure healing. National Federation of Spiritual Healers. That's in England, but there's also ones all over the world. And also within spiritualism, as well. I think those are the most powerful healers I've ever met
And,
have always come from those.
Also with colour therapy healing, that works as well with the colours and that, which blend into your aura.
Also, I was following
singing
on
bowls.
Facebook, actually, Matthew Manning. I don't know if you've seen his face. I followed his page recently. He was a fantastic healer. He put some really interesting posts up. I think I mentioned him before.
Well, he's been
Doris Stokes.
Quite good healers, hasn't there? There was Rose Gladdings or something like that. That was going back in the 30s, was a powerful healer.
How do we keep in permanent state of immunity to ailments? A prevention is always better than a cure. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I mean, we basically got to look after ourselves, haven't we? I think occasional fasting actually clears the body. I personally am well into yoga. I mean, I think if you take up yoga,
not everyone can.
Not everybody can take up yoga, any shape or form. You can moderate it to you. It's not a competition or anything. It's not, oh, that person can get into that awkward shape, I never do it. It's not about that. It's about finding your own path in yoga. And it can, that together with diet, and diet's the worst one from my point of view, I must admit, but that together with, I think yoga, and particularly what they call pranayama, which are the breathing exercises in yoga, will give you an incredible, Sai Baba used to say it will give you a body of iron, you know.
But I think treat your body like a temple, really, a sacred temple, and be good to yourself. Eat healthy, drink plenty of water, don't have stress if you can help it, walking and doing healthy, normal things.
Yeah, but I think yoga, for me, I've done it not every day, but I've tried to do it every day, and I've been doing it since I was about 14 years old. That's about 230 years ago.
More like 2000.
But I've been doing it, and although, you know, we all get our illnesses and things like that, but it's kept me in a much, much better position than I think I would have ever been without that yoga. And that, I think also personally, I think you also need a bit of something in your life where you're going to get your heart pumping more too. So whether you like ordinary exercise, or I like walking, so swimming I quite enjoy too. But all those things, I haven't done the swimming for some years, but the walking I do regularly.
Sink or swim, great.
I used to go quite regularly.
Years ago.
Not that long. But
all of that,
I think yoga particularly not just the physical yoga. This physical yoga everybody's into at the moment, where everybody's wanting to be some ballerina. I mean, you want to learn the real yoga, the yoga of pranayama, the yoga of kriya yoga too. Now, kriya yoga, I can't explain all that, but this is when you move energy. I see it as light. You move the energy through the body. You particularly move it up and down the spine. And when that happens, it pulls all this energy, I was talking about, this healing prana energy into the body, focuses it like a laser in the spine. And although this is what you would call Kundalini yoga, and it's about opening to enlightenment, one of the benefits of it is it brings incredible healing power.
Yeah, I think another good thing with healing, if you're feeling really down and you close your eyes, just shut your eyes and put your hand on your third eye here, and then try to shut the outside world. Bring that energy down onto the heart chakra here, and shut the outside world, and then bring it down to here, your solar plexus. And if you've done that exercise every day, I'd say a good 10 minutes, then shut the outside world, you'll feel very, very refreshed.
Yeah, like I said, the Kriya particularly is incredibly energizing if you do it. And it's the key to mediumship as well.
Right.
And there's also in India, there's another whole system of healing that very few people know about, called the Siddha yogis. Like in Yogananda's books, he had the Maha Avatar Babaji, who was one of the Siddha yogis. But there's a load of these Siddha yogis, many of them who lived hundreds of years. They lived, and there's some out there now that lived hundreds of years and more, they claim. Yeah. But they have the whole technique. That's something to look into. Yeah. There's not much of it in the internet.
Right. Liz is saying, are the spirit guides the ones who do the healing straight? Or it depends. Your guides can change. Not everyone has famous guides that work.
I think the guides help people who are doing really healing to others.
Really in need.
If you're doing healing on yourself, your spirit guides could be there. But the important thing is wherever you focus your attention, that's where the energy will go. So if you focus your attention with a positive state of mind, with a positive energy, you focus your attention on yourself, on your body as a whole, on your energy, or just even thinking healthy, it stimulates the pranic energy, the healing life force in our bodies. You know, it's like a spiritual form of stem cells, really, isn't it? Really.
Well, it's always good if you want to do absent healing. Have a book. This is what they do in the spiritualist churches. You write the name of the person, the age, and you also put what's wrong with them. And then 10 o'clock at night, I find it's nice and peaceful. Most healers do healing at 10 o'clock at night, absent healing, and then send out thoughts and visualize where that person's pain is, that you can eliminate it.
I also think that words can heal and do the opposite.
Yeah, words.
When Jane's mum comes in, my lovely mother-in-law, she's the sort of person that if you've got the slightest twinge of whatever it might be, it's going to be something, the worst possible thing it could possibly be, isn't it? It's like she puts a hex on you. You know, I say to her, for goodness sake, stop this witchery, stop this witchery. Just, I don't want you thinking negative thoughts towards me like that, because you'll bring it on in our lives. And so I say we must always think positive, really, because what we think attracts things to us. Yeah. It attracts good health. It attracts, you know, if you want to be healthy and handsome like me, you've got
an awful lot of healing's got to go on, Craig.
You've got to pull the energy into yourself with positive thinking. There's no good moaning about it, you know. Okay, you know, no, I don't moan that much. I mean, I think.
Well, you're on about you've got something wrong with you every day.
Yeah, I suppose so. But you know, you know, we use it in our language, don't we? You know, he's a pain in the ass. Next thing you'll end up with piles. Oh, I've got a gut full of that.
We really don't want
bad
to.
stomach.
We don't want to talk about
you know, all the we use this negative language in all of our language, and that's really bad stuff, really, because when we're using this negative language about we're doing the opposite. You know, you can heal and you can hex, you know, and you don't want to hex yourself with bad thoughts.
PJ Brexit, walking is free, walking is excellent exercise, or cycling. That's absolutely right. And I think where we've all been shut in, shall we say, due to all this virus, it's good to actually get out in the fresh air and go walk over the fields and in the countryside. You feel freedom, don't you?
Yes, I keep telling you we should do that.
I do, you don't.
I love walking. I went with the Ramblers as well, but they were a bit boring people, if I'm honest.
Or perhaps they might think you're a bit over the top.
Yeah, well, there may be. I was nothing I could really talk about. You know, if I wanted to talk about what happens in the workplace, or what illnesses they've had in the past, or other Ramblers walks.
Well, at least they're walking.
At least they're walking, though. And actually, I'm a bit hard there. Some of them are very nice, actually. They were actually thinking about it. But if you can walk regularly and enjoy it, wow, you know, I mean, that will get your health up, I think. You know, I'm talking here about health, but we're also talking about healing.
Yes.
I mean, Sai Baba used to say, first see Dr. Man. Right, and if that don't work, then call on Dr. God,
okay,
and that's when we can start thinking about the other levels of healing.
Why do North American Christians say that if the healing doesn't come from Lord Jesus and it's demonic? I think that's a load of trash. I mean, there is a place in the States where they have these snakes, and if they put their hand in there and the snakes bite them or venom, then they've been cursed and everything.
In fact, I would say it's quite the other way around.
Yes.
Any Christian that says that you can't, that it's exclusive like that, that's demonic. You know, that's not Christianity. That is, it's just a closed mind. You know, that wasn't what Jesus was about. You know, he was a teacher. Love. He was a healer. He was a humble carpenter, not some bloody person that comes through on horses in the Revelation, destroying the world, and you know, all this nonsense. No, I think a lot of Christianity, and not all Christianity, but a lot of that mindset of Christianity is a form of mental illness, in my opinion. And all religions, you know, all religions have something to offer us, all of them.
All religions should be as one.
Yeah, and they all have love at their heart.
Love all, serve all.
They all have love at the center, and that's what people of the Christians should be thinking about, of extending love and compassion, not about, you know, if you don't believe in Jesus, you know, if you don't believe in Muhammad, you'll go to hell. If you don't believe in Jesus, you'll go to hell. If you don't believe in Christian,
Craig,
you go to hell. Well, you know,
you don't believe in him.
You can make a mistake and follow the wrong one, couldn't you?
You're cursed.
Yeah.
Ginger tea. I stopped watching the news. All the news upsets me and stresses me out. Now I feel a lot more relaxed and happy. I think that's a good idea, Ginger Tea, because I mean, every time you put the news on, it's all doom and gloom about deaths, how many people are dying.
I think news can do a lot of harm, actually.
Yeah,
I
think
watch
you're right
quite a
in
lot of
doing
news.
that. I think you're very sensible. That's a form of healing, what you're doing.
See, the news today, it's all about entertainment.
And ratings.
It's not about, if you watch in the 60s and 70s and all the rest of it, when you watch the news, it was all, here is the news, and it was presented as the news. Now it's all speculation, isn't it? And it's all trivial stuff, and it's like a threat all the time. And yet worse things are going on. I remember watching the Vietnamese War when I was a kid being talked about on the TV, and they say, oh, now it's going into Cambodia, and you just get a few grey maps. You didn't get all the blood and guts like you do
horrible,
now. So I think you can catch up on the news in 5 minutes.
Yeah, because a lot
you don't
of
have
people
to watch hours
through this lockdown, their sleep's all disturbed and that because and their time and everything like that, and having nightmares. And
there's another way where healing can come actually through sleep. And also having positive thoughts as you go to sleep, because dreams are a form of healing too, actually, particularly psychological or even physical. Because the first, what was it they call it when the Greeks had the Hippocratic Oath, right?
Yes, doctors.
Yeah, the first Hippocratic Oath insisted that the healer also study the patient's dreams. That's not in the modern day Hippocratic Oath, but they were seen as a form of diagnosis of what's going on wrong in the person's body. And I often find if I'm about to get ill, like a cold's coming on or something like that, or even before I've even caught anything or hurt myself or anything like that, the dream kind of knows. A clairvoyant dream will tell you you're about to get ill if you look at the symbolism, and it will also give you the answers of how to heal yourself too. So pay attention to the dreams. I think it would be fantastic if doctors did more of that. That would be a long, big call.
Right, Nana says we need healing places, rooms, temples, maybe with all the disciplines known to man, like crystals, colours, light and music, running water. That's exactly what we're trying to do with the healing centre.
Part of what we're doing. Yeah, definitely.
So everybody can come in and relax, and if somebody's lost somebody, then there's somebody there to help them.
See, we want to do something like this. One of the visions I kind of see is, imagine if every town centre had something like that, a non-religious, spiritually orientated centre where people could go. That would get people to go to the town. It would save our shops, wouldn't it? Because you go there if it was open 24 hours, so you could go there at lunchtime, you could go there if you had some time off or your day off and things like that. It would be a very, very, very powerful
I think the world
thing
needs
to do for the world.
The world needs it because, I mean, every day could be the same. You just get up, you get washed, you go to work. But wouldn't it be nice as if we all was one big spiritual community? Yeah,
absolutely. And the world needs healing. The world is in a state of...
Mother Nature does.
The world's had a nervous breakdown, really, in a way, when you look at it. I mean, like the other person was saying there about the news and things, it creates stress and all that's creating illness,
fear.
And I think when we do lots of harm in the world, things like the coronavirus, I think we kind of, in a way, brought it upon ourselves. I'm not talking in terms of, like the religions would say this. I think when you do something kind of negative, like you wreck the earth, you're going to pay the price. So that's all kind of tied in with the idea of healing, because I think also, if we had a centre, Jane, I would like to do things like they call homas, where you do the fire ceremonies to collectively link together to all send healing to the world. So so that's quite
everything's possible.
Yeah.
Right. Mark says, how powerful is shamanic healing? That is quite powerful, very strong.
Magic mushroom healing. Yeah, shamanic healing. Yeah, it's definitely. Now I can't honestly say that I've had a lot of encounters with that. Really, I certainly haven't been to Brazil and taking the various
drugs.
Plants, but I think it can have but it's not something that we could do on ourselves. I think that's something where you would have to be with the right sort of teacher,
like a juju man.
Yeah, the right sort of juju man. And of course, just like everything becomes an industry, I'd imagine nowadays it's an absolute trap for most people.
Lots of people smudge, don't they, and things.
Yeah. So the shamanic healing, yes, I don't know enough about it to be able to give
Quite powerful.
But when you think about this healing all around the world, I've been reading a lot recently about China and things like this, about the old Chinese teachings of healing. When you read books like The Secret of the Golden Flower and things like
Taoists.
The Taoism had incredible connections. I mean, they were connected with nature, not in the way like we are when you go and sit and relax and look at nature. They were connected with nature in such a way that they were linked to the power and force of nature.
Well, it's like
this is where feng shui comes from.
This is like we were talking about these mushrooms that myceliums that all connect the earth. And
the
everything.
mycelium of mushrooms all connected. I mean, everything is connected in the world. And I think when we connect with nature, we find all sorts of things. And this might be why so many people get ill, because we're no longer connected with our roots, with our mycelium, with our.
Yeah, look what's happening. They're chopping trees down, building houses on land, and it's all nature disappearing.
I mean, we don't even see nature, do we? I mean, I think this is one of the things that's one of the great ills of the world. I'm sure a lot of you feel the same with that. I mean, the building going on here in the UK is horrific. You're seeing lovely old villages being covered in cheap, nasty, wrong houses in the wrong place, and it makes me quite cross because although, that's going to be there for a long, long time. Okay, the sound healing, crystal balls, etc. This is all about vibration, really.
Yes.
Sound can be a very, very powerful thing, particularly if you can internalize it. One of the things that I particularly feel powerful with sound, the way I work, because I haven't worked with the crystal ball, the bowls and all the rest of it, and all the big. We had it sort in Glastonbury, didn't we, when we went there? People were doing it.
People who do it in yoga have sound.
And we used to do a thing called Om healing, where a group of people, we sit in a circle of people all saying Om, and a small group in the middle saying Om, and you take turns of moving around as the evening goes on, as you start to swap, and you sit within this energy of everybody just giving an Om, Oms.
Yeah, it's quite powerful.
A sea of Oms, and the energy that comes from that.
Yeah.
And when you're sat in the middle, you absorb it. And when you're on the outside, you push it in. It's a very interesting technique. But also, you can internalize that. Like I said about yoga nidra, where you move the thoughts around the body. You can move the Om or any mantra around the body. In fact, Sharavana said one of the most powerful mantras to internalize.
Mantras, they're called.
Mantras. Yes, that's true. Sanskrit.
Mantras.
You got me again. Yeah. But is the Gayatri mantra internalized? So this all kind of links into the idea that if we can internalize the sound, and that's where the work comes when you're doing crystal bowls or you're doing sound healing, it's important that the person, I would imagine, I've never done it, but I would internalize the vibration.
Brings the vibration up, doesn't it? It's connecting to our higher source.
And certain sounds correspond with the fluctuations of the brain as well. With the alpha
looking at you,
Yeah, but if you certain electronic music, for example, which I think can also be extremely healing, will resonate with the same vibrations in the brain. And once you hook onto those certain levels of vibrations, which some people like Brian Eno have deliberately done, you get a certain resonance that will put you into alpha states or delta states of theta brain patterns, which I think is a very powerful thing that might people could look into a lot more. My TV broke down because of all this bad news.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's pretty bloody awful, isn't it? All that bad news all the time. And it needn't be quite so bad. Like a summary would probably be enough, but we watch news 24/7.
Well, it's because people don't know what to do with their free time.
Yeah, I mean, when you go on your iPad, you look at Facebook, and then you look at the news, and then you might look at Twitter, and you're thinking, just a minute, I'm going round and round in circles with this, and then you come back to Facebook because something might have changed, and you go back to the news, so you're constantly bombarding your mind with negativity.
If we listen to music and you just relax, that's the answer. Really nice music.
Yeah, I think it's important that we all find ways out of this, and have a period of time at some point every day in meditation. Because again, that is something that can bring healing power to yourself. Right. You don't have to do anything except be still.
Mr. Parker, your attention, please.
Still for a moment.
Mr. Parker. Yep.
Okay. I love this show. There we go. That's enough. We don't need to read anymore, do we? It's a shame we aren't all in the same room together having this lovely conversation and laughing. Yeah. We are in a way, aren't we, really?
Connecting around the world.
Because in a way, I don't know about you, but when we feel people come online, we're in a room, just me and Jane, but it don't feel like that. It feels like we're connected all together. like Jane was saying earlier on, you're saying about it's like a mycelium from the mushrooms where it all spreads out and connects. And I think healing works like that. I think laughter works like that. There's another form of healing.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Makes you feel happy, makes you feel good.
I mean, that
makes the endorphins in your brain feel
it does.
good.
And they even do that in some of the Indian things that we've seen on. They often pick it up on some of the travel programs, don't they? The sort of hoo-ha-ha, hoo-ha-ha, hoo-ha.
The laughing policeman. Do you
Do
remember the laughing policeman when you were a child?
Yeah. I think a very disciplined laughing would be good, wouldn't it? Laughing, begin. Hoo-ha-ha, hoo-ha-ha. Monty Python's did that, I think. Yeah. But I mean, I think your attitude of mind affects your physical health.
Right. Neil says, can we send healing energy to someone who doesn't believe in any spirit? Of course. Yeah. You don't have to tell them. Just do it naturally.
And particularly like cats and dogs and all the pets and things. They're being sent healing energy. They didn't ask for it.
And actually, animals heal us because dogs can sniff out cancers, can't they? Elephants can... they're very emotional elephants, aren't they?
And the nice thing about, you see, when healing's being given to an animal and you see it get better, you know that it's not what they call the placebo effect. You know, there's this effect, this idea that you give, like when they do the coronavirus, they give one person the coronavirus injection and they give another one when they're testing it, one that's just water or something like that. And then they see which one's working. So we can always got this sort of a way of testing it, you know, a blind something or other they call it, don't they? A blind test or something like that. So you give people a placebo, but sometimes if you give people a placebo, they get better anyway if they believe it works.
When I was a nurse, we weren't allowed to give out sleeping tablets at night. We had one disturbed patient, and I remember she wanted a sleeping tablet, and I happened to have a tube of Smarties in my pocket, so I gave her a blue Smartie, and she slept perfect.
I know. Actually, doctors say that they're not allowed to give placebo; it's unethical. But in some situations, it works. I mean, particularly if you give them a big tablet, you know, and actually,
open your mouth.
You better have 2 of these. You know? But the thing is, people do get better because there was a really interesting study done, or something I read about. Anyway, again, going back to this idea of the prisoner of war camps in Japan, they had no medical supplies whatsoever. The doctors was completely in a mess, and people were getting ill. And in order to keep everybody a certain amount of hope, he would just give them an injection of what he said was a vaccine and the rest of it. And although there was just water or whatever it was, the saline, I suppose, what he was giving there, the people got better and showed all the response of recovery. And so they kept doing that. And they found that this idea of the placebo effect, because the person really believed they were being given a cure, you know, and I think in those circumstances that was ethical, they actually got better, which makes you think the brain can do the whole lot. We've got a whole chemistry set.
I had an uncle that was in the Japanese prisoner of war camp, and my grandmother thought he was dead, and he suddenly turned up when they were released. Yeah. And he was so thin. Yeah. And but it kept him going. He kept thinking.
And I bet his health was good later in life.
He kept thinking of my grandmother's desserts and puddings, what she made. Kept him going.
He'd torture himself, wouldn't he? God. Yeah.
Right.
We're going to have some cake in the interval then.
Josie says, I've been to a gong bath healing session, but it wasn't, well, it might not be for everybody. Everybody's different, aren't they? I mean, I can remember going to Craig's yoga group and they were all like happy, clappy, hippie. And I thought, this isn't for me. Strange people coming up, hugging you and kissing you like a load of recycled hippies.
They were nice people. I learned a lot.
They were nice people, but too much in your face, you know. Yeah. Hey, people wonderful! I had a vision of you. I thought, let me get out of here.
This is what I would call insipid yoga. You know, I like the idea. I don't like the idea of yoga around the bath where you have all crystals and you know, feet massages.
Yoga around the bath,
you know, where you have like candles around the bath, and things.
Well, I think
I like to see things a little bit more edgy. You know,
like life balls.
Yeah, like the
soap.
Yeah, no, like the voodoo, they cut all the heads off chickens, and you have a chicken head.
Well, we can arrange that for you.
Chicken head bath for healing, you know.
Yeah.
But I think yoga, actually, when you look at people like Mahananda Swami, who I went to see in India, the Siddha yoga. I mean, he lives in a cave. His hair is a mass and a mat. So you can see it on Mystic to Journey to India, which is on my channel. You can watch it for free now, and all covered in ash and wild eyes, and would sleep in a fire. That's yoga. you know, overcoming the body, you know, like the Agori yogis and things like that, and Varanasi that I saw. Yeah, but not all this pampering of the body.
What about they do
yoga's about transcending the body.
What about they have goat yoga? People have goats.
Yeah, nonsense, and beer yoga and cannabis yoga.
Well, I mean, not heard of that.
Yeah, absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. And the problem is 90% of yoga has gone that way now, you know, and it puts people off. If you look at the first sort of people that came from India to teach us about yoga, sort of people like there's films of the first yogi things, the black and white stuff. There was a certain humility to it. There was a basicness to it. It was just plain hatha yoga. None of this hot yoga and cold yoga. None of this.
Indian children are taught that, like PE yoga from a young age.
Yeah, but it was done as simple. Yeah. Simple, and it brings good health.
Stretches.
But we in the West, don't we? We have a go at it. We tear it all to bloody pieces. We turn it into something that's not. We make things. We start to look ridiculous.
Flash Gordon.
Yeah, we spoil it though. We spoil it because you know basic yoga is very, very simple. But that's the best way to self-healing of all, in my opinion. Plus the imagination.
Now, this is interesting. Agility, it says, I read somewhere that with my healing system, 1/3 of people are cured, 1/3 are helped, 1/3 is, you know, it depends again on the person, doesn't it, who you're giving the healing to? Because as healers, you can't promise anything. You can't promise that somebody, you know, say if they've got cancer, you can't promise you're not going to die because you don't know. It's in God's hands.
I know that's the same formula they say for things like schizophrenia. 1/3 are cured on the first help, 1/3 are helped longer term, and 1/3 is incurable. You know, and that applies. So that's I think a medical formula that they've applied to their own system actually. Not that I'm medically trained.
It's Jan now. Craig, do you want to read that?
You probably know of John of God.
Yes.
Yes, I do a bit. I don't know much, to be honest. I've experienced working with the spiritual doctors stroke healing entities of the Casa de Dom Ignacio. John, that's why you wanted me to read it. John of God, Central Brazil.
I do know John of God.
Oh, I know who he means.
Yes. He was convinced of sex offences. Do you have any thoughts about working with the entities? Well, once again, he's an individual. He's not God himself, is he? Though he calls himself John of God. A lot of these start off all right, and then they start getting money orientated.
Why do you need a big grandiose and a Craig of God and Jane of God? You know,
Goddess.
Mind you, I suppose they got that name from India that they've given me, Paraswaram. But I think I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of really powerful stuff there in Brazil. I don't think you'd want to dismiss the stuff in Brazil.
I've been to Brazil, but I think really that man took advantage of people, you know, because. At the end of the day, I can remember he came to England, didn't he? And they had all these posters up in London and great big things like that, and took advantage. And it started getting very, very money orientated.
Yeah, and that, of course, we're talking also there about the physical type of healing they do, where they plunge their hands into people's stomach and pull out a bloody hand with some entrail on it, sometimes which has been shown to be pig blood. You know, so. All these things you have to judge for yourself, really, don't you? I mean, if you've had some form of healing like that and it's cured something, I mean, miracles do happen. I mean, this is another form of healing. Actually, we could even come to, you know, we talked about the power of meditation. We talked about the power of the imagination and the placebo to change things and make miraculous recoveries. But also this.
I thought you was going to speak in tongue then.
Oh, well, you did, yeah. But then there's also miracles, you know, like I mean, when we saw Sai Baba and Sharavana and people, I mean, they have miraculous cures, don't they? But then also you get things where people make huge claims. You know, a friend of mine was told the other day that, you know, this will 100% cure this person, you know. And I think, just a minute, you can't make those claims. I know healers will say, yes, I'll give you 100% guarantee. I'll guarantee that you'll cure cancer.
You can't.
And actually, they're putting themselves in jeopardy. You can't say that sort of thing by law.
No.
Yeah. So
do you want to do this? You're in the musical person.
Some say that the difference between 440 OG, 432 hertz is healing music, giving much better vibrations. Any thoughts? Well, that's what I was saying about the music. The electronic music comes through. The electronic music, we can sort of align with our own inner resonance, and particularly the brain patterns. The brain patterns work like. Now, I don't know enough details to be able to give you all the facts on that, but you can go and look it up. But there's some very interesting stuff out there about this idea that if we can get into a certain brain state, like for example, you've probably heard about alpha waves, right? Most of us are in what we call beta waves, which is normal everyday consciousness. But when we meditate, our brain patterns change, and we enter this other state of brainwaves, as they call it, which they can measure, which is called alpha. You show alpha waves, for example, when you're happy, when you're laughing, when you're feeling good. And meditation, the relaxed form of meditations, will put you into this alpha state. And that must have healing power to it. Same too with the other states, like the theta and other states, which usually come in deep sleep. Deep rest shows different brainwaves. So we resonate, we energize. Whether people can change that by playing your music, or whether you can change that by color lights and all the rest of it, like some of you were asking about there, I'm not so sure. I think the most important way is to simply meditate.
What about
white noise too can also be a powerful.
And there's brown noise and black noise.
Yeah, and the Gansfield thing, where you put the ping pong balls over your eyes so it's all clear white, and the flotation chambers. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of those things.
You don't hear of those anymore,
not so much, do you? But they're more about an astral projection thing. But I think isolation sometimes is helpful. It's like we have to learn to switch off. How can we ever heal ourselves if we don't have moments, even short moments, when we can recharge?
Well, it's because the brain overthinks.
Yeah, and people don't get sleep proper. People's sleep patterns don't heal them because the brain's still running from all this watching the news, like you guys.
Well, that's interesting. You know? Can healing be harmful for the healer? Well, I was always taught with healing, you don't give healing to a pregnant woman because it might harm the baby, because where you're giving a lot of healing energy, you're not harming the baby that's going to die or that, but it's the person that's pregnant. So I wouldn't put my hands on a woman's stomach. I'd work from behind and that. So, you know,
one of the things I would say is, yes, to answer that question, healing can be harmful for the healer if you don't do it in the right way. And what I mean by that is you must not give from your energy. You've got to channel the energy, like I was talking about, that this is just universal energy, this universal prana, I call it, life force, universal healing. Okay, think of it as like a sea of light that's all around us, and the healer will, and the mediums do the same thing, because mediums have got to be very careful not to keep using their own personal power all the time, because it can deplete you, as we find so often.
With their insulin,
yeah, and also can stimulate illnesses in a person. So we have to draw the energy from the universe, as it were, and channel. So a healer is just a doorway for that, a channel, a doorway, whatever you want to call it, a conduit for that energy to flow through.
Otherwise you become very drained.
You'll get ill yourself.
Yes,
and you'll take it away. And same, even more so with mediumship, because you know you're channeling people on the spirit world, and they're describing to you and impressing on your body lung conditions, cancer, all the rest of it, brain tumors. You've got to clear that energy afterwards. And that's why mediumship and healing requires proper training. It's not something you can, you know, step into from reading books and things. You've got to sit in a circle for it. You have agreed, Jane.
Because you can't announce the name.
Jing,
not Jing, Chang, Jing.
Yeah.
Is it a technique to make aura reading more accurate or easier to learn? So to make health-related diagnosis with aura reading more common? Well, I don't go along with these aura machines, these photography aura machines.
No, the aura machines are a complete fake. I mean, first and foremost, because when people say, "Oh, well, take a photograph of your aura," all it's reading it's like a lie detector. It reads the electrical resistance on your hand. You put it on, you notice the chair has lots of little metal bits on it, and that will measure the electrical resistance in the hand and put a charge in the back of the camera that puts an artificial light around your head. So those aura reading things that Jane mentioned there are a load of rubbish. However, auras are a good indication, if you can see or sense the aura naturally, are a fantastic illustration of a person's health. I mean, I had one friend who was very, very depressed, and his aura used to look black. You know, he eventually killed himself, but his aura was like black light. You know, it just felt like a shadow around him. And then other people, if you're happy and cheerful, your aura expands.
Well, it's like if we went to the cinema or set behind, I could see everybody's aura and light above their head, the crown chakra.
Yeah, you do sometimes. I mean,
a nice light and yellow light.
And particularly if Jane or myself have come back, say I've been out, or Jane's been out doing the spiritualist church in the past. If I came in, I mean, Jane would look at me and say, "Oh, look at the light around you," because you've been projecting.
Yeah.
Your aura is so white. And we
Yeah.
even did a thing once. You remember I said, "Let me change the colours."
Yes.
And I said, "Now tell me what colour it is." And I change it, and I'd visualise red light, and you say, "It's red." Visualise blue light, it's blue. So our aura changes depending upon our psychology, but it also is an indication of health if it's bright. Simple as that. The aura is bright, the brain is, the body is.
There's a technique where you can do the fingers with the aura too.
Yeah, there's lots of techniques. I put some on the channel here. You've seen a few of those. I might do some of those with the patrons later. Might be a good idea.
Well, that's true, Lola. When the church asks you to pray for someone, I guess this is a healing energy. Well, that's good. When you're thinking of others and unselfish thoughts and asking for somebody perhaps not well in hospital, and you're sending out a prayer for them, that's a lovely form of healing.
Yeah, it is. It works. Whatever religion, if you send a prayer, what you're doing is basically is you are doing a visualization, an imaginative vision of them. That when you pray for someone, or when you send healing thoughts absently, you must always think of the person as being completely well. You don't want to visualize them in some, you don't want to keep the picture in your mind of them suffering. You want to take that away and visualize them as being perfectly healthy, perfectly well, an absolute positivity that they're better.
And you're doing it with a loving heart. And
that's the way and that love, that energy, that will heal the person, and it works. There's been a lot of experiments with
God, I'm so like worn out healing Craig time and time again.
Best thing to heal me is make me some tea. You've got your healing dress on, I think.
Yes, green to be seen. Yeah. Thank you. I like sparkly things.
Yeah.
But I think healing's a wonderful gift. Apple. It's a shame that healing knowledge of old cultures like American Indians is not mainstream. Example, the knowledge of plants and the way they see life. Well, every person in the universe in the world from different countries, they've all got cures and different things through plants, haven't they?
There was a really good book out there by Lyle Watson. It goes back a while now. Do you remember those books by Lyle? Life Field or something it was called, and I read a load of his books.
What about Rupert Sheldrake?
Yeah, but Lyle Watson said in his thing there, he said he went to the some of the native people in Madagascar, and he said, "How do you know which plants? How did you ever find out which plants are the right thing for this illnesses and things? It seems incredible. You've got this whole medicine cabinet. Was it by trial and error?" And the shamans were saying to him, no, we just ask the plants. And if you think about it, it's a bit like, when we do psychometry and we hold something, we pick up the energy of that thing. And a plant will radiate an energy. And almost if you connect with it, will tell you what it's there for and how it will help you. So although the things like the old culture of the American Indians might be lost, we could still rediscover that if we can first and foremost rediscover our connection with nature. Because like we were saying about all the news programs and all the telly around us, and even watching YouTube like this, is all a separation from nature.
Where's your spirit? Now, Mark's saying, where's your spiritual centre going to be based? Well, first of all, we hope in England, and then
we're hoping possibly Winchester as the first one. Because that's what I'm thinking. Because it's easy access from London, it's easy access from us, and you can get train links to it. And it was the old capital of England. It used to be thought of as being Camelot. It's got beautiful energy to that place, I feel. That's personally I'd like, but it's expensive, so that's going to be difficult. But our first step is a rental, and we'll have to do a rental just as a media site centre. But our plan is, as we've mentioned already, is to we're going to put you'll see a little advert in between when we go in the intermission of me talking about what we want to do with it. But it's a long haul. But I feel that once we've got enough funds together, and thank you to all of you that have been helping, because I know some of you helped substantially. Once we get a decent amount behind us, I think we can then take it to the government and say, look, these things are of benefit for the community. And, if we can get some lottery funds or some government funds to back it up, because it's not just about me and Jane or me and you lot. You know, it's about the whole community would benefit from this, because
mankind.
yeah, the world needs it, and it would help save the centres of towns, because I mean, people would have a reason to go to town rather than go to the cinema or go to the bowling or things. They're going something where you know it would attract.
Well,
other
I'm
things.
hoping later on to have like a country retreat where people could stay and enjoy food, do meditation, do yoga, workshops.
Depends how big we can make it. Really, if we can get the first one started, we might be able to start getting other funding for it, and who knows where it could go eventually. And obviously, we'd like to make it as international as possible, and that's why obviously we want to make this type of thing where we're reaching out through YouTube, not just me and Jane talking to you, but the whole events and everything we're doing, and guests and the rest of it, all perhaps 24/7 streamed on YouTube. So you always can just link in and feel it's like your place, just like you kind of feel like you're connected and sat with us now, don't you? So I just like, go and make us a cup of tea, will you? Yeah. It's just like this.
And you're going to make me a cup of tea in a minute. Craig.
Yeah. But, so it will work, and I think that's the, can I bring the dogs? Yeah, you'll be coming in for, I think you're down in Cornwall.
It will be for animals as well, because, I'm quite fond of donkeys and things. So rescue
I think
animals.
the whole thing needs to have this whole idea of reconnecting. And how can we reconnect with not just nature, but the whole idea of reconnecting with the universe, really. Yeah. And that means that we have to start seeing everybody as one nation, not as different people. One unity of thought. Right. I mean, the heart of it has to be this unity, and that we celebrate diversity. And if people come from other religions, that's fine, as long as people don't start preaching their religions and saying that's the only way. I'd love to learn about all the religions of the world, so long as it's not exclusive. It has to be for all. All of the religions need to be as one. Look at the common factors, that behind every religion is based on the idea of love. That is, and every religion believes in an omnipresent God, that's it. Do you need any more than that?
I don't think so.
And all the rest can just be, it's just fluff, isn't it? Really? They're all teachers and things. Anyway, I'm going off, so sorry. Sounds lovely. Yes. So we hope to do that. And that's going to be, healing will obviously be a very, very important part of that, as well as mediumship too.
Of course, we'll have lots of volunteers that will be helping. And it'd be a great, great place.
Yeah,
it'd be universal.
People will help us for free. I know you will. You want to? I would. If I saw some. The thing is, when you get a really good idea, when you get something that inspires us all, we all want to be part of it, because we get healed by it, don't we? We all get healed by it,
Craig, would you include fasting? Yeah, we'll start off with Craig. We'll start off fasting.
Yeah.
World, but we'll start off with you.
Yeah. I would actually. It is very good for you. It is hard nowadays, it is tough doing that type of thing, because we're so used to constantly being fed the whole time.
As long as you have water.
But if it's done properly, it's safe, But and I like the advanced techniques of yoga. I'd like people to be taking a stage further with their yoga, like the internal cleansing exercises too, where you put the things up your nose and all the rest of it. All those things are tremendously powerful for healing. Tremendously, because our whole digestive systems get messed up by the mess and junk that we're putting in, and our bodies and our minds, and nothing gets a rest, does it?
Yeah, retreats are very good.
Yeah,
and so we can all work together.
But I think a retreat has to be not just a sort of, I feel good now, I'm rested. It's got to be more than just resting.
Powerful.
It's got to be something where it's a bit of a challenge, and it's got to be something where you're trying to find an edge. You're trying to push yourself a little bit further than you've ever gone before. And yet you also need that space.
You need to be comfortable as well.
And comfortable as well, yeah. I'm not saying I sleep everybody on beds and nails, but it needs to have a balance between all those things. Not a sort of just a foot massage. It's got to be something that is also a challenge.
Nana said, but I want to take my rabbit. Yeah, I used to have 7 rabbits in my
crate. Take a rabbit. Yeah, well, I haven't thought all that bit through, but it would be nice, wouldn't it, guys? It would be lovely to do something where we got all the animal kingdom involved. I mean, we had a squirrel out there today, Jane. Did you see that? Yeah. We were fantastic. Our garden just seems to attract. I think they get attracted to the energy of this place.
Well,
I'm sure they do.
2 doves that live in the garden.
And 3. There was 3 rooks today. He's brought a friend.
Oh, has
Yeah,
he?
we've got 2 rooks that come
Who
regular.
said
The
he's
third
one?
one come. We had the 2 pigeons. Today I saw 3 rooks. Robins and blackbirds would come normally, and Boo, of course. He's top of the tree. Boo, you're next, then the animals, and then me.
No, that's not true.
I think your centre's a good idea. I think people are looking for the spiritual way of life without being too pushed into some specific belief. Exactly. We don't want religion. We don't even want science either, because science, in my opinion, is also a kind of a religion. You know, we want to go to learn, to discover, not to be told, but to look into yourself and find out for yourself, because it has to always be translated into spiritual experience. You know, you don't want someone else telling you that this is what spirituality is about and you must do this. That's wrong. Give you some techniques, give you some ideas, help you open up. But it's got to be your personal experience, not what someone else says all the time. So anyway, that's it. And Detroit, yeah, actually, that would be a good place. Perfect place.
Didn't Town of Motown came from Detroit, and cars.
Poor old Detroit really needs something there,
yeah.
You know. But you imagine if you did something on the Great Lakes or something like that, what it could do. I mean, America's pretty lucky because you've got quite a lot of these type of centres there. But
Yogananda and Los Angeles. All sorts.
But the Nadi said that, you know, we'd open them all over the world, and that some of these holy men said that. It seems I'm going to have to hurry up. We're getting older, but so you know, if you can help us now, because we want to get this going and we want to
last question
extend it. So we're going to have our last questions now, because we're going to be having a break in a minute, and then we're going to come back, have a cup of tea, and do a bit of fasting. and so
Domenico.
One last question now, and then we're going to close up ready for the intermission. But do come back after the intermission. We'll be chatting to Domenico. And as it says on the messages, thank you all to those patrons and all of you that have been. I noticed a number of you have been sort of giving donations just through PayPal recently too, and just helping us in every way you can. And that's really fantastic. It is all going into a fund, which is just being left there at the moment. And we hope to build it and build it and build it until we've got a substantial amount, which we can start to. We're aiming to get £100,000 soon, if we can. And also, if you're interested in our work, go and have a look at my books as well, because all that stuff I'm talking about is a charitable work. We got to live as well. Have a look at some of my books. Messages from the Universe is my favorite. And also Mystic Journey to India. And that is available on Amazon if you want to download it on Amazon Prime. It costs you a little bit to watch it. No, it's free on Amazon Prime. Or you can watch it on YouTube now, because I put it up there. And if you're really interested in coming online sometime, because particularly in the second part you'll see coming up in a minute, it would be quite nice to have a few guests. So if you're skilled in something, get in touch with us through the website, psychics.co.uk, and you can also we can have you on as a guest to have a chat with us, like after the show, you know, and something.
So any gurus out there, please be in touch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, gurus all welcome.
Or avatars.
Yeah. And there's the address on the thing there, but that will also come up in a moment on the at the end in a minute, you know, because I've got a little video that goes up. Okay, follow Dom as well. Look, he's putting up all these messages he is there. But actually, Domenico, I mean, you'll see him in a minute, but he has got some fantastic odd curiosity videos. All right. So if you're going to hang around and see the second half, you'll see Dom in a minute, of course. But it's really some good stuff. He's got some really weird stuff coming up. He's been telling us about it. So do go and subscribe to his channel. He'll put it up on the screen, I'm sure, later on. And then you can go and look. It goes under the name of the Italian Dad.
Because he's Italian, of course.
Because he's Italian, yes.
It's our son-in-law.
And odd curiosities. And he does all these odd curiosities. Anyway, we're going to stop now, aren't we? I think. Yeah. And we're going to say bye. And we'll be back in a minute. So about 6 minutes or so. We'll be back, and you can come in for part 2, where we're going to have a cup of tea and a slice of cake. Glad you've enjoyed it.
Would you like to know more about the paranormal world? Craig Hamilton Parker's books are now available on Amazon. Explore the future. Discover what happens after death. Unlock the secrets of your dreams. Learn to develop your own psychic skills. Would you like a personal psychic reading? Visit psychics.co.uk for quality international readings with Craig and his team of clairvoyants. Improve your life and find the path to a better future. You can book readings by phone or email. For a quality reading, visit psychics.co.uk now. They are the real deal.
Right, do it in a second. That looks like we're on. Hi, everybody. Yeah.
That's what it's on.
You put the wrong intermission up. Can't hear you. You're mute.
I was mute.
Got you.
Sorry. Yeah, anyway, it's still downloading the new one. It's taking
I thought it
hours.
might do. Yeah, because it's sorry. Okay.
You need a
which-
better internet connection.
James made us a nice cake today. You want me
Oh,
to
I
show
saw the
that off?
picture. I saw the picture. It looks
Yeah.
tasty.
Can I use the iPad to point at it?
Yeah.
On the iPad, one Domenico. No, you can have a look here. Just a minute. Here we go.
Yeah, that's a nice chandelier. That's a nice mess.
Have a look at on here. There's the cups. Hang on, I'll have to come round. I can't get
Still
round
the
it.
chandelier.
There it
still
is.
the
You can
mess.
see go and open the cake, Jane, so people can see. You
Look
want
at the
to
cake. Jane, take the cake. It's going to be easier.
Yeah.
Take the cake. Bring the cake.
And the tea.
I'm gonna have a piece of cake actually.
There you go. A nice piece of cake.
So you're all joining us for a nice cup of tea and
Do you
a
want any
slice of
cake, Craig?
I won't drink because I've had indigestion today. We're talking about all this self-healing. Indigestion.
Can you send a slice over here? We can have a chat and Craig can drive and bring me a slice, actually.
Actually, it looks nice. You've got vermicelli in it, I see.
Yes.
And what's that? Cherry and vermicelli. Oh, it does look nice. And that whipped up creamy stuff that you did before.
Vanilla.
With,
Right.
That's good.
Yep.
Okay, I'll make myself a cup of tea. So we're going to put that back again. Flick to the other channel, Dominican. There you go. I'll get my cup of tea.
We're back.
That was my cup of tea.
Yeah,
Oh, was it?
It was absolutely good.
God, women should come first.
he had all this time to make a cup of tea, he has to make it right now. Silly Craig.
Everything stops for tea.
An awful lot of tea bags
Or as Damien says, silly granddad. Guandad.
So this is our part 2.
Welcome everybody to the part 2 of the amazing Psychic Evenings.
Yes.
I like
Psychic
the name
cake.
Psychic Evenings.
Psychic supper.
Psychic supper.
They have psychic suppers in the churches.
Yeah, spiritualist church. What
Fish
they do
and
is
chips.
fish and chips they bring.
And then
call
they
it
have-
a psychic supper.
Then
and
they
that
have a
means
little
give
bell,
readings.
and everyone around the table, you have to give a quick reading.
Yeah. God.
B Light
Yeah,
says
So
that
when
wee
you
cake
go
looks
to
gorgeous.
you get exhausted. Sorry, Domenico.
B Light says that wee cake looks gorgeous.
It is pretty good, actually. It is pretty good. I'd like some, but I've just had that.
Oh, it's delicious.
Yeah, I know.
Mm.
I dare not eat it.
Yummy, 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 yum.
So guys, healing. Tell me more about it.
What did you think about
Actually, in the
idea-
past, well,
So
in the
Domenico-
past, I was learning about Reiki.
Reiki.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was
I've
something
never studied it. What did you learn?
what I was learning was that you will need to take the bad energies from somebody else's body, let them pass through your body and throw them in the universe. So exchange the bad energies from somebody with the good energies in the universe. And it wasn't touching. You're not actually touching the person.
No, you're not supposed to touch when you heal.
No, you're just slightly detached from the body.
Yeah. Also, you're not legally allowed to touch when you heal.
Usually,
Yeah.
it's a
You could
bit
obviously
like
all sorts of things that go
it's
on
usually a male healer has to work with a female healer.
in pairs quite
Yes,
often. Yeah.
in case you get
A
accusations.
lot of those Reiki things, when I look at them, they're very similar to some of the things that I've read in Tibetan Buddhism. About taking something in Tibetan Buddhism, for example, they'll take the illness into their own body and then kind of dissolve it in their own body as a form of compassion. Like they compassionately will sort of take the illness themselves.
I'm taking this healing
Very,
with
very
compassion
dangerous way
cake.
of healing, actually.
It's-
if you don't
It's
train properly.
nice.
Yeah, I can't have any because I've had.
It's actually pretty. It's actually
all the evening.
it's actually pretty common in different religion and methodologies, let's say, where the healer is taking all the bad energies or whatever they think is bad into themselves,
Yeah.
because technically the healer should be more powerful than anybody else or better of a normal person. than a normal person. Therefore, they can accept those bad energies, and then they know the way to take them off their body with some meditation, yoga, or stuff like that. Does it work? Does it
I
work?
worry a lot about that there's so many like healing courses out there, and it's like people go into it like a weekend workshop and you're a healer sort of thing, and these should be really like a lifetime study and learning to do these things, you know.
There are new age groups, you know, like all these people on Instagram that are just taking yoga positions just to get the likes on it, basically.
Yeah.
But they don't actually follow the mentality. I do believe that whatever is your belief, whatever you believe in, don't do it just for the likes. Do it because you really like it, because you really believe in it.
Well, that's the problem today with so many things, isn't it? I mean, this is the problem with fake news as well, even, isn't it? Really, because I mean, you think if we wanted to make this channel, for example, really, really loads and loads of followers, you put up all the nonsense that would be the extremist sort of things that people love, you know, because nobody wants the truth. Everybody wants some fantasy, wants some exaggerated version, you know, so they ignore the truth and want the crazy stuff. And it applies on all levels, including like news. And, you know, like what's been happening in Australia and that, where they're cutting back on it. But even the healing stuff, you know, this is what I say, sensationalist. You know, you can heal now instantly. You know, no, you've got to spend a lifetime. It's a dedication. It's a holy calling.
But that's the problem everywhere. As you said, if I want to get thousands of subscribers on my video, on my channel, and if you haven't done it, there is the link in the description that Craig will put later, most probably.
Yeah.
You got your channel. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's so easy. Just create a fake news that will attract.
Yeah, people always love the nonsense, don't they? That's the problem. And the problem is what gets thrown out is the truth. And then everybody gets confused. And the thing is, it's like, if you say it enough, it's like Hitler said, didn't he? I think it was Hitler, or was it Napoleon, said, if you're going to tell a lie, tell a big one, then people will believe you, you know? And that tends to be what happens out there. People start to give such exaggerated stuff that appeals to everybody's imagination, you know? Everybody wants to be the Harry Potter, or everybody wants to be, you know, the great healer and the rest of it.
It becomes, the more the lies told around, the more it becomes a truth. Although it's not a truth, but that's how it happens.
Any of our
yeah, we got Karina Briding. She works as a psychiatric nurse and she has a severe illness. Some might say it's because she absorbed their problems and feelings and carried them and haven't cleaned herself.
Well, I think
Cleansed yourself.
Well, Jane was, weren't you? You were a
registered.
What was it?
I was a registered mental nurse.
Comes in very handy. If I'm never feeling bad, if I'm not lucid, you know, it comes in very handy. But you would have picked up on when did you find? I mean, being a medium too, and in a psychiatric, you were dealing with some pretty bad cases.
Well, these were girls that were locked up in side rooms, and you had to carry the taps around in your pocket so you didn't have suicidals. But what you had to learn to do is detach yourself from negative energy and show no fear. And that.
Oh, they pick up people. I mean, people with psychiatric, serious, full-on schizophrenic psychiatric
pick up fear.
They pick up your thoughts and things, don't they?
Yeah.
But I think you do need to do a lot of self-healing with that type of work. You need to be able to separate, cut your mind off from it. You can't carry their vibrations.
There was a lot of patients there that had what we called savants and that, very highly intelligent people and that shouldn't have been there, really. Didn't understand it then.
Yeah. I think the way a healer sounds, actually, particularly if you've got a lot of vibration like that going there, is when I finish my mediumship, you know, like we have the chakras in the body. Well, there's one chakra at the crown of the head here that kind of opens up like a flower, right? So I'm very aware of that opening up when I do mediumship. And healers, I should hope, have the same sort of thing, because that's our connection to that universal life force. But just feel like a light above you, like a brilliant, beautiful sun of light, and light pouring through the body and out of your fingertips and out of your toes while you're stood up. You know, just stand up and imagine, like almost like beamers up Scotty sort of thing. You know, pour in this light through your body, and then let yourself fill up with light, and then close it all back down again, and pull it back in, pull the aura back in. Imagine it Like I imagine it like you're putting a cloak over yourself and a hat on or something, like you're wrapping yourself up, you know, you're getting like this, you know, and pulling the aura in. These imaginative exercises actually pull the aura back in, but you've cleansed yourself and filled yourself with light. That will help you to cleanse some of those vibrations that would upset you or bound to.
Well, a healer is meant to cleanse themselves after they've done healing anyway, because they can't take that energy from the other person. They'll be ill.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is what's taught within National Federation healing, would we know more about, isn't it? And in spiritual.
Oh, my image just got locked. Let me just see. Just give me 1 second. Meanwhile...
Okay. I used to pick up people's feelings, working with massaging, and it got to the point to feel their pain.
Well, she would very much be a person that what I call clairsentient. She senses things.
Yeah,
and the solar plexus here.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do. We all pick up vibrations from people, don't we? I mean, my dad was the worst one. If he was in a bad, you come into the room and the whole house would feel like you could cut it with a knife. You know, he had that sort of way of projecting energy.
He's an ex-teacher.
He was an ex-teacher, true, but he was also. I've even seen things move around him because he was so. When he got in a bad mood, blimey, he wasn't angry or violent. It was just simmer. You know, oh bloody, keep away from him. You know, and I think we all project energy. And we all absorb energy. So we all got to be, what are you doing? He's not doing a striptease here or something.
I'm back.
Yeah, so Caroline, I think that's important that you do that. You want to practice some form of cleansing afterwards. It only needs to take literally a few minutes. You could just, if you're at work, before you go home, you can maybe sit in the car and do that, or pop in the loo and do it or something. Just find anyway, just any space, just to cleanse your energy. Like that, like it's just a bit like I described, or even just to sit quietly and let it settle down. But if you visualize pouring light through yourself, that is a way to cleanse. That definitely does work for me anyway.
Angel Love is asking me if I'm in Italy or in the UK. I mean, wait.
Very convincing Italian.
Angel, I'm in the beautiful, sunny, full of great food, England. Yeah, I do miss all these things.
Yeah, you love our pizza and you love our pasta here, don't you?
Well, the good thing is that Danielle she'll learn how to cook Italian food, so we are gonna have our pizza tonight. So actually, we're saving up because we want to get
What's up?
a pizza tonight. They don't have that very often.
Every Friday. That's our Friday dinner.
Not a bad idea, actually. Yeah.
And actually, we are saving because we want to buy a proper pizza oven.
Yeah, about £2,000.
Bloody hell! My wallet knows about it.
You want a good one?
But, yeah,
about £2,000.
They are. The one we used to have at the Two Eyes restaurant, they were really, really expensive. Most expensive bit of kit.
Gosh.
Yeah. Anyway, back on the healing.
Yeah, there we go.
We were talking about the healers that take the bad energies and so on. People that work in yes, thank you very much. Words. Or that are in contact with this type of people. Even if they are not healers, they will still have the feelings because they have those energies around.
Yeah.
You see, it's a bit like when they say, if you just have negative thoughts, you will gonna attract negativity. And that's more or less the same, with the difference that you don't have the choice there. So some people have
a really bad psychiatric issue. It's like their whole energy field has gone wild. It's unprotected. It's open, isn't it?
Well, especially if somebody's...
So they're throwing out energy.
If somebody's
taking in energy.
Got psychosis and deep depression and that, you're picking that up.
It's a terrible illness. It must be the worst one to have to handle. And it does respond to healing, actually. It does respond to spiritual healers helping them. But it's a chemical condition in the brain that does this.
That's
and
right.
it's a
yeah. Well, there is a thing I truly believe in, and these healed by nature, like herbs, mushrooms, special magic mushrooms.
Yeah. I mean,
They
turmeric,
have
for
always
example.
been used since before the medieval time. If you remember, witches during the Inquisition were mostly women that were using herbs to cure diseases.
Mm.
So
The
I
Amazon.
mean, the herb, like I was talking about, the plants can tell you about it. But this knowledge of herbalism and the rest of it is all over the world, and we really should be taking more attention to it. I mean, Chinese medicine, for example, has some fantastic stuff. I was mentioning about the siddha medicines, which people haven't even discovered here yet. But there's these siddha yogis. They kind of live in caves and things, and one of their roles was as healers. And they were particular. This is why they do so much. Often you'll see these rituals. When I was in India and things, you see all the rituals with the turmeric.
Yeah.
The turmeric becomes a holy ash in a way. It's like holy ash, like the vibhuti in a way, and it picks up the energy from the rituals.
It acts as an antibiotic
So
too,
they have
doesn't
an
it?
incredible knowledge of
Like Domenico's saying, all these herbs and
plants.
different things.
Yeah. And wish we could. I mean, I would much rather have all that. I mean, when you go to see the doctor never wants to get to the root of the problem, do they? They always want to get to, okay, look, we'll get rid of it. You take that and it'll go away. But yeah, it goes away, but it kind of ends up going somewhere else because of the side effects of the drug they've given you. You don't ever seem to get to the idea that what we should be trying, health, is when the body is in perfect harmony, when everything is working
Balance.
perfectly in balance, isn't it?
Mm.
Throwing drugs at it all the time.
I need to stop you on the doctor thing, because that's something I saw here in the UK, but I can tell you the difference between two different countries. For example, in Italy, the doctor will give you a temporary cure, but at the same time will start an assessment and analysis to find out the root cause of the problem.
Mm.
So I will try to give you something to attenuate the problem immediately, but at the same time trying to find the root cause to get rid of the root cause. While here
again, not just become medicine dispensers,
No, but here in the UK, I found out, really, you go to the doctor and he tells you, okay, take paracetamol, and then we'll see in a week if you're still fine. Then if you're fine, then okay. If you're still ill, then we'll take more paracetamol, or I'll give you some antibiotics. It's just like, why can't you just do an analysis and find out why I have this problem?
If you diagnose me, then I could start finding and changing my lifestyle. I think the doctors, what they should be doing first and foremost, is helping us to change lifestyles, because so many of the illnesses we get nowadays, both physical and psychological, are caused by a bad environment around us. Bad food. I mean, the cancer wasn't around like it was now until the development of processed food in the 1930s. When they started the processed food, we get cancer. So surely there's something in the food.
They had TB around in the 30s.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was cured
polio,
pretty much, wasn't it? But a lot of the modern ailments are based upon bad lifestyle. And I think a doctor should also be a bit of a naturopath and a bit of a psychologist. But of course, they're just overloaded and they're seeing people like on a conveyor belt, and there's no way they got
They're
time.
only allowed 10 minutes with a
but
patient.
I think it would be better if we could, maybe first the person goes to see somebody that could maybe make some lifestyle changes for the person before they go to see the doctor.
Anyway, LJL87 is asking what techniques can be used to detach from all the bad vibes.
There's lots of techniques you can use, which is basically using your imagination in some respects. I quite often have quoted before this guy I knew. It was he suffered from schizophrenia, and I was at that time working.
You seem to get on with schizophrenia.
I do. I get on well. I do.
They understand each other.
I do. I mean, those poor people are terrible. Nobody's helping them. But he had a pretty severe condition, and I was at work, and those days I was working in an advertising agency, and I was sat up looking out the window, and the main pavement was down below, and he spotted me there. He's one of them, and he's looking at me, and I thought, how can I stop? I can feel it, I can't concentrate. I got him looking at me, staring at me all the time. So I just visualized a mirror in front of me like that, reflecting it back. And when I went out for lunch, he disappeared then. When I went out for lunch, he accosted me. What are you doing working for them? And then he says, how dare you point a mirror at me? So I thought, my God, that really did prove it worked, because I was visualizing a mirror, just reflecting it back, not a real mirror. This is
well,
just
you
in
picked
my
up telepathically then, didn't
he?
he?
Picked up, but it did push back the energy. And I think sometimes if you put if you visualize a barrier between you that you can imagine yourself in a suit of armor, that's not going to stop. That's going to stop bad vibrations getting through you. And you only need these sort of things occasionally when you're in a potential situation when you could be picking up a lot of bad vibes, like on the tube or something like that. You can imagine sort of putting some protective barrier around yourself, basically.
But then, wouldn't all these actually give you an idea that maybe what we define as normality is not actually normal? It's we have limits, while people with psychological conditions or mental conditions, they are in that way because they can reach a different level. They can use the brain in a different way than we do.
Oh, yeah, I mean, they definitely burst through. I mean, people were asking us about, the idea of shamanic healing, and I think they wanted us to talk about taking these shamanic drugs and things like this.
Mushrooms.
Like these magic mushrooms.
Yeah, mushrooms.
I mean, those things are, in my opinion, those
Powerful.
there are ways through to other realities with that. I mean, if taken in the right circumstances.
Yeah, Tibetans.
Well.
People made them sick.
Oh yeah, it's also. I mean, it's been used throughout all cultures, and I mean, I don't deny it. I was involved in those things when I was young, and I feel like it was one of the most powerful and important experiences of my life. I could not, incredible things. I'll write a book about that one day. But
actually, there is an interesting thing. Like magic mushrooms and other psychedelics are under analysis by scientists in the US, and they're doing so because they believe that this psychedelic will open a different portal, between quotes, if you allow me, to a different universe, a different way of using our brain. In fact, McKenna was a famous astrobiologist and an astrophysic, if I'm not wrong. I can't remember really well, but he was a believer that mushrooms are a connection with other worldly beings or aliens, as if you want to call them. And he always said that aliens will never come on Earth with a metal spaceship. They are already here, and the only way for us to see them is to use these hallucinogenics. Hallucinogenics. There you go.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a lot.
Wait a minute, you don't let him finish.
No, it's okay. Let him go.
Because I mean, these things, the whole thing that science is ignored, which is the most important thing of all, is consciousness. They just say, "Oh, consciousness is just a byproduct of the brain," But then these sort of keys to other worlds, like you've talked about with the magic mushrooms there, or the things that Huxley did with mescaline and things, they do open the perceptions to a whole new way of seeing things. And once it's opened, once you've seen that, you can never see the world the same again. The world cannot be seen the same again. You've taken that thing and it's going to be with you forever. You never come down because it's opened a key to higher perceptions, And so those things are there for a purpose. And I wonder whether that chemical, that creates and touches the pineal gland, which could be the source of our consciousness. And if our pineal gland is just a bit like DNA, that all conscious beings have a pineal gland as the center of their consciousness and the center of self, and that there are chemicals out there that can affect that pineal gland, then like you're saying with this UFO business and the connections with other worlds, this would be something that might also be on planets all over the place and might be our way of connecting consciousness together.
You actually just gave me an idea for a new video for the Odd Curiosity series, because there is the famous painting of God touching the human finger.
Oh, yeah.
That actually, if you look at it, looks like a brain.
Oh yes, I've seen that. Yeah.
So that could be connected to the pineal gland, and the same for the third eye, and the same for the Egyptian with the third eye, and so on and so forth.
I'm glad that the world's beginning to open up to these ideas. I mean, the problem that happened in the 70s and 60s is that people like Ken Kesey and Timothy Leary and the rest of them were fantastic people, but they just gave it to everybody, And the whole thing is, I think it just kind of went. People were taking it that were not on any spiritual path whatsoever, and I knew people that took this that were just having a weird time, and people are still doing that now. Nobody ever went deeper to understand what could happen with this, to go right through it, to find what will happen if the self dissolves and things like this. It's all just superficial psychedelics, So I think it would be wonderful if the world did start to study this, particularly if it was studied seriously, not necessarily always just scientifically, but as an idea of a way to open up human consciousness to help us make a big leap forward.
There is
perception.
there is a misconception. You're saying science is not doing any of this research. Actually, science is doing this type of researches too, and that's the other point.
It needs to be a mystical science.
No. I'm talking real scientists, PhD scientists. There are different groups. METI is one of the most famous one for the alien life search, for example, where there are PhD astrophysicists, astrobiologists, people that studied all these things, pure scientists.
The psychedelic movement started in Harvard. I mean, Tim Leary and Barbara Ramdasi became. They were all people who were studying, top of their field. It was intellectuals that got interested in it.
But that's because science is not renegating or saying that these things do not exist. Science is to prove if they exist or not with trial and error. It's not like I can come and say, okay, here is my scientific example. They do not exist. It's not that my is the only truth. There will be other science saying, well, you know what? I want to try a different way that you haven't tried. And look, my different way is proving that your theory is wrong. And so on and so forth. So in the science community, there are these people that are not fighting nor arguing. They're discussing against each other with different point of views, different ideas, to then arrive at the possibility. But that final possibility is not the final solution. It's just a possible point that can always be changed if there are new proofs about it. That's why there are scientists, PhD people that went to Harvard and big universities that they are famous all around the world, that they're searching for alien lives, they're searching for afterlife, they're searching for the soul. And they believe in these things.
Tools we have at our disposal in many ways. But the thing is, it's not for everybody. It's not for something that should be, it should be illegal, for example, because it shouldn't be out there with every Tom, Dick and Harry, because I've seen people go completely mad. I've seen people, I've had friends that set themselves on fire because of it. All the things that, the worst possible things.
But those people that take those bath salts and they're like zombies.
Yeah, that's pretty bad too. But yeah, all sorts of stuff out there. But it was the shamans of old that held it. And that's why I think it should be something that you have to work towards. That's something where you would have to, I mean, this would take a long time before we ever get to a situation where you could have something like this. But under a sort of like a scientific type of environment, but not clinical. And it's about more like a true way of expanding and understanding what human consciousness is. I mean, that's what it's all about, consciousness. That's the most important thing.
But in fact, again with the aliens, and I'm talking about a lot about the aliens because the video that is coming out tomorrow, it's about aliens and aliens watching us.
Callie and Dad channel.
I've done a lot of research about it, and scientists are saying that one of the possibilities why we are not seeing alien lives is because we didn't reach yet the correct level of consciousness, that we need to reach another level of consciousness to then see different things that we cannot see now. So as you can see, even scientists do believe in these things and they think that it's there and they're searching for it, they're testing for it, they're doing everything for it.
Well, all of the sort of things that Jane and I do is about raising your level of consciousness into another place, isn't it? I mean, when I do mediumship, or Jane does mediumship, you're in a very different state of mind. You're not like in a hallucinogenic state of mind, although there's a little bit to that sometimes. But it's like you're in a very fluid, different way of thinking that's totally different to when your normal life, and it's not a difference between like beta waves and alpha waves. It's like a complete different fluidity of thinking that's very hard to describe, a different state of consciousness. You have to get into that zone. And like in that zone, for example, I can't add up. So I'm obviously using a different side of the brain. I can't add figures together. I've noticed.
Controls the right
spell
body.
Things. I'd have trouble. Yeah, the left and right brain lobes. I have trouble to express, just to remember facts. Because my brain is receptive as opposed to active. It just absorbs. And I'm absorbed from the spirit world and you say your thing. So it's an altered state of consciousness, albeit not like as extreme as like you were talking about with mushrooms and all the rest of it. But all these things, this is where we should be going with the experimentation of what human condition's all about. You know, we're not here just to live this world out in this material world.
There's much more things.
There's so much more.
There is.
So much more.
I mean, look at that on Mars, that thing that landed. And Sharavana reckons we all come from Mars, didn't he?
Yeah, I think life perhaps was seeded from Mars. It could well have been on Mars first and then came here later.
Well, the theory of humans coming, the theory of human coming from Mars, from different planets, it's pretty well around the scientific community. To believe that a catastrophic event pushed the humanity to be spread around the universe, and one spaceship came here.
Already evolved. Perhaps we were like in the human form on Mars and then came to Earth.
There is a theory.
We're very unusual creatures, aren't we?
There is a theory that actually mixes pretty well with the Bible, in which it starts saying that humans were on another planet, let's say Mars. A catastrophic event pushed us to get away from that planet. And instead of having a spaceship full of humans, there were only 2 humans that were the pilots. And then the rest was all DNA of all the different animals that were living on that planet.
Yeah, could be.
That spaceship crashed into our planet. The DNA got spread out. And from there, everything evolved.
So when they wiped it all out.
But then you get Adam and Eve, the 2 pilots. The ark with all the animals on it. Yeah. So maybe the Bible says something true, but it's not true on our planet. It starts on a different planet.
Rhesus negative blood is from aliens, don't they? Rare blood. I got rare blood.
Yeah. So I think I could accept that you probably are an alien.
Well,
I think we could all agree on that.
I'm more negative too. So I'm the only one that can donate to you, Jane, and you're the only one that can donate to me.
Right.
What's that? What did Dominica say?
Are you talking about the buy the coffee thing?
No, I said that I'm O negative too.
Oh, okay.
My blood group
again. Sorry, I thought you said
we got rare blood.
Yeah. I'm rhesus positive, aren't I? You're rhesus negative, and you're O. Are you?
Yeah, rhesus negative O, same as me.
Yeah, so we somewhere along the line we might get it.
That's why
I get the feeling I'm going to be the one without any blood left.
Well, Danielle's rhesus positive. That's why you have problems when you have children.
And all the kids are rhesus positive.
Jabs, you were 100%. Didn't even touch you, did it?
No.
Yeah, and I
because my antibodies fight it.
Different. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, the good thing of our blood is that we can donate it to absolutely everybody.
But we can't take people's blood. Another O negative. Yeah.
So I'll be
all right. The same.
You won't be all right.
I could just have some of your blood if I have a problem.
Anyway, back on the healing, and that was the original topic of today's live.
I thought. I don't know if there's any questions that they're coming up from people. Don't forget you can ask some questions, guys. I was quite interested in this idea of the placebo effect. You know, that we can actually make ourselves well by thinking well, and I wonder sometimes if we can make another person well by just thinking them well. You know, like I said about your mother putting hexes on me.
Well, it's like before you had that jab, you thought that it's going to affect you, and it did.
Yeah, did I talk myself into that?
That's right.
Yeah, did I? No, I didn't. I just 100% with it and thought that's fine.
You've been crashed out on the settee all afternoon.
I've been crashed out on the settee all afternoon watching the squirrel jumping up and down. So it did have its second. It did have an effect. But I know we've lost a lot of subscribers of people who've said, "I am unsubscribing because you're going to take the vaccine." I think, wow, silly fool.
Yeah, but it's your own free will, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you care about others and want to save other people on the planet, that's what you do.
It's our duty, all of us, to do it. Really, it's our
common
duty to look after each other.
Craig, did you tell to the people that openly told you that they would unsubscribe and leave because of the vaccine? Did you tell them, right, have a beautiful evening, and meanwhile shut the door with a more wind coming in?
Yeah, I'm not prepared to go down that route because, you know, like I say, there's. I think the difference between Jane and I and a lot of the other psychics out there is we do try to be kind of down to earth. I mean, we don't know everything, and we miss a lot of stuff. And I really do feel there's an awful lot goes on behind the scenes for some of the stuff that I pick up from the clairvoyance, and Jane does too. Yeah, I mean, the world's not right, but at the same time, I think people can go to the point where you get to the point you're almost paranoid with it, and that's when you go too far, you know, because too many people want the clickbait of a video title that's going to get lots and lots of hits because it's saying something that is so massively controversial and crazy. You know, I was saying before, people want fantasy, they don't want facts, and the fact is, the facts are even more amazing than the fantasy. You know, when you really start to find, you know, the very fact that we're here, you know, that we exist. I mean, incredible. All those planets out there turning and the galaxies moving and the Big Bang or whatever happened. And they create this, having a cup of tea, talking on YouTube. You know, I mean,
Anyway, guys.
You saw those mushrooms on your shirt.
Guys, we got a question.
All right.
Darren is asking, do you think all electronics gadgets harm our health?
Some do, don't they?
I think there's a lot.
Yeah, I do. Those pylons, for a start.
Sick building syndrome they talk about, don't they?
Yeah.
Where there's so much energy that some places feel dead, and it's often.
I mean, even your phones and that, I think they can be dangerous.
I mean, they do. That blue light of the phone in itself will make you ill. Sitting in front of the radiation of a computer screen will make you ill. It's a physical thing. But I think on a spiritual level, I mean, they talk about things like, this was another thing I didn't cover when we were talking about on the main program, about geopathic stress.
Oh, yes, yeah.
You know, that there's energy, earth energy, for example, that can be negative places or positive places. Like the cat will always find usually the warmest spot, but I think they also find the most energetically right spot. They always seem to find the nice place to sit for the day, don't they? And it changes between winter and summer. And I think we intuitively, all this places like Stonehenge and that, when we go places like that, I mean, there's one fantastic energy there. And if you were to sit in a hospital or a computer room or something like that, it's sickening energy. So yeah, I think Darren's absolutely bang on. I think electronic gadgets do harm our health.
Yeah, deplete your energy.
And we're all addicted to them.
Yeah,
that's the problem. The first thing in the morning, last thing at night. It's
obsessive.
It's phone, isn't it? You know, and it's become dangerous, I think.
Belight is asking, what do you think about the disappearing teenagers at Glastonbury in the 60s?
Remember that one? They all went up there and camped, and they didn't know for UFO, and suddenly nobody's ever had any recount of them in the 60s. Do you remember that?
It's a long time ago. I remember it, but I
1960s.
Comment really. I haven't got enough. Have you, Domenico? You know that story?
No, but I'm gonna make a good research about it because it seems.
Oh God! Thank you for passing the buck.
It seems a good. It seems a good topic for another Odd Curiosity episode.
Camping, and then nobody saw them again, and they thought that perhaps a UFO had taken them off or something.
The only time I've seen what I think was a UFO when we were kids, again, really teenagers still. We went to Glastonbury and we went the wrong date. We thought the Glastonbury Festival was on. It wasn't. We were months out, you know. Anyway, we got to Glastonbury and we slept. So we slept on Glastonbury Tor. You were able to
Was
sleep
this what
there.
these teenagers
And we
done?
slept on Glastonbury, and I saw in the sky a triangle. And we were talking about UFOs, and we're looking. I said, "What's that triangle up there?" And we're looking at it and think, you know, that must be a weather balloon or something. And then it went. You know, just like it zigzagged and then shot into
There's meant to be a lot of UFOs that's gone over Salisbury Plain.
All around that area.
There might be a vortex of energy there.
Yeah. But I saw that and I thought that just shook me, because I thought, no way could anything travel at that speed, you know.
Or might it be in the mushrooms?
Yeah, no, we weren't doing anything naughty. No, we were just sort of there. We were just there sort of watching the sky. I mean, nothing like laying out under the skies, sleeping in a sleeping bag on Glastonbury Tor. I'd love to do that again, but I haven't done that for years. Yeah.
Karin is saying that she had to take chemo pills, and she decided, even if they're like napalm to the body, they're tools for healing as well. What the hell is going on with my speaking tonight? Is she up in the clouds?
Well, I think you have to sometimes.
I think you've got to do what your doctor
You've got to
advises
follow
you.
your doctor's advice
Yeah.
too. Because
Because we're not doctors.
we're not doctors, obviously. I wouldn't advise anybody to come off the pills or anything like that. I think complementary, they always say with healing, it goes hand in hand with the doctors.
I think it's a balance, as you said.
I think it must be awful to take. I can imagine.
Make you sick.
It must be awful to take, but what choice have you got, really? Sometimes, first doctor man, if they can't fix it with that, then maybe one can get a miracle. But usually,
You don't hear Chinese of cancer so much because they drink lots of green tea.
well, if you look around the world, there's all sorts of things.
And turmeric,
They don't get indigestion troubles in India, where they're all vegetarians and higher fiber diets. Same with Africa,
Yeah.
But then they get other things that we don't.
Mm.
So
My
yeah,
camera is playing
sorry,
up.
not well, Karina. Wish you well with it, but think about healing on yourself. I'm sure it helps, and hopefully the chemo pills
It's a
will
caring
do their
person
job,
too.
and you'll heal up quickly too. And recover quicker.
It's a giver, isn't it?
Yeah, thinking positive.
My camera is playing up now. Don't ask me why. I don't know. It's just not choosing where she wants to focus. It's my face. Yeah.
Of course, you've
Anyway.
also got other channel, haven't you, Domenico, where you talk about all this kit that you've been buying too. If anybody's interested in cameras and lights and all that, Domenico's got a second channel as well.
No, it's still the same channel. I just have the two different series.
Yeah, okay. So you can get a bit of paranormal and a bit of geeky technical stuff.
Exactly. They go well together.
With you.
Like now, my camera is possessed. Doesn't want to
Oh,
look. Doesn't want to focus on my face. Doesn't like my face anymore. Yeah. Anyway, we're almost at the end.
what's the time, darling?
Well, it's 10 to 9 now. We're kind of getting to the end of it now.
Yeah.
Are we going to say bye to everybody now? Then are we going to?
We are gonna say a nice good night, a happy
Nice
weekend.
night.
For now.
Don't have a fright.
We'll see you soon. Stay
Sleep
well.
tight.
Thank you all for watching us. Remember, subscribe,
You're new.
hit the like button, share this video, invite other friends to subscribe. The more we share, the more fun it's gonna be.
Yeah.
And for now, have everybody a lovely evening, lovely weekend. It's the weekend finally. Good night, good morning.
Ciao. Ciao.
Buonanotte.
Arrivederci.
Ciao.
Let me